Absolutely have to have dark in order to have light. Gotta have dark. Gotta have opposites, dark and light and dark, continually in painting. If you have light on light, you have nothing. If you have dark on dark, you basically have nothing. There we are. You know, it's like in life. You gotta have a little sadness once in a while so you know when the good times come. I'm waiting on the good times now.
Do you ever feel as though day in and day out, life is just on repeat and you're stuck in a perpetual cycle of sadness? But you have to think to yourself, no, this can't be it. This can't be all there is. There has to be more to this anime than getting girls into uncomfortable situations in which you are forcing them to taking off their panties as they talk down to you and call you pathetic scum of the earth. And then you look at the title of the show and think, oh, yeah. And you realize you got exactly what you signed up for. What I'm trying to say is that I think we've looked at plenty of shows that target desperate men looking for women's affections while in a first-person perspective. So today we'll be taking a look at a show that targets women longing for men's affections. So in today's episode of, oh god, what am I doing? I just want to kill myself already. Please just pull the trigger. I'm begging you. Just give me the sweet release of the endless black void. We'll be talking about Pillow Boys, a show with 12 mini-episodes. Unlike One Room, which has a new girl every 4 episodes, this show has a different guy every single episode. Because of this, as we go through the entire show, I'll be evaluating each and every guy. After we discuss the happenings of each episode and talk about the quirks of each cute boy, I'll put them against each other to form a hierarchy arranged from best to worst guy. Alright, well, this isn't the best way to start a series. Immediately, we're somewhere deep within the abyss of the uncanny valley with this alien creature in front of us. My upset with this thing is only perpetuated when it's known as the one that watches over you as you sleep. But you know, everyone deserves a chance, right? Even ugly people. So after he talks about wanting to touch your ass, he talks about how his day went. The most eventful things of which were him seeing a cat from outside the window and him looking at the sky. From this, we can derive that this alien creature doesn't have any sort of job or even any sort of hobby. He just sits on the bed all day, clinging to his pillow and waits for you to come home. Someone who is apparently working very hard at whatever job you have, which I feel this only strengthens my theory of him being some humanoid creature from beyond the depths of space, assuming if he were to step outside of this room at all, there would only be panic, so you must keep him sheltered indoors at all times. Just want to add here, in case I haven't made it clear enough, I hate his face. He's absolutely never not smiling, which after a while starts feeling like he's being a bit condescending towards you. I know we just started, but he's already at the bottom of the hierarchy. The next guy would have to be pretty bad to get below this first episode's humanoid creature. Our second episode starts with us talking with a businessman as we ride in a car. Now is a good point to note that this anime doesn't have any sound effects or music, aside from the intro theme. This makes driving around in a car surprisingly uncomfortable as we don't hear the hum of the car or the sounds from outside. Okay, focus back onto the guy. We, as the main character, apparently were at some sort of party, some sort of gathering, some sort of get-together, some sort of festivity, some sort of shindig, some sort of soiree, some sort of jamboree with this man before us. However, we had gotten so drunk at the fete that we passed out while we were perhaps, what is the word? Junketing? Aside from your takeaway from what I just said being that the English language is a humorous, clunky thing on the occasion, the other takeaway here is that our guy isn't someone to take advantage of women while they're either inebriated or unconscious. That's a good plus to start off with, because our standards are so low for these guys. Just like in real life. This guy is caring, supportive, not a rapist, as far as we know, not an alien, as far as we know, and actually holds a proper job. Though I will mention that I got some slightly off vibes from him near the end, but we'll try to ignore that the best we can. It's easy to say he is currently the highest on our list of men. Our previous guy had been an older businessman, but why don't we go to the opposite end of the spectrum and go for a high schooler? God damn it. Although judging from his piano, violin, his fancy home, and his regal wardrobe, he seems like he should be quite the gentleman. And he's a pretentious asshat, god damn it. He starts playing the violin, demanding that you, and I quote, listen to this melody. But it's just silent. There's no music, because they didn't have the budget for sound production. This man is so proud of his musical prowess, and yet he's just awkwardly standing still with his violin due to the animators not having time to actually animate him playing it. It's comical without meaning to be. This is meant to woo lonely women into liking this character and buying Blu-rays. Pathetic. Oh, he has a gift for us. Maybe he could woo us yet. Step back. A little uncomfortable. Step back, please. Step back. You'll be playing. What does that mean? What's squeal? No! Ah! Bottom of the list. I feel assaulted, and this was only episode 3. I make these YouTube videos for fun, and here I am being physically assaulted by animated boys. Is this what women apparently want? There's been a number of studies to show that possibly half of women fantasize about being forced into sex with a man, but this sort of thing does not translate into reality. Because sexual assault and rape are some of the most horrid things that you can do to another human being. A large part of these fantasies probably stem from women wishing to avoid some sense of blame or guilt, as from young ages women are usually taught, consciously or not, that men are allowed to have and enjoy sex, but women should be pure and proper. These assault fantasies acting as a way to get around this sort of guilt because they would be forced into it and they would have some sort of excuse, which is a little fucked up. It's just the way our society is, which would explain the abundant hentais with rape scenarios and also just general porn with that type of shit. That or simply people, women or otherwise, are just interested in fantasizing about things outside of their own boundaries because you can do that in fantasies. Just doesn't translate to reality. And while this is pure fantasy and you're allowed to just fantasize about whatever you want, I just don't know if you should trust the same studio that brought us dozens of ecchi and or harem shows like Kiss Cross Sis, So I Can't Play H, and Bikini Warriors on the topic of what women would enjoy, which should be clear from the character designs for this show alone, as all of these guys have either been ugly as sin, bland, or over-designed. I've just wanted this to be some sort of fun experiment to try to flex my writing muscles to see what I could get out of such a little content to actually write on, while also being on 1 hour of sleep. But now I'm just... I just want to go home. Next up, we have a wholesome, awkward college fellow who enjoys stargazing and wishes to share his interest with you. He's kind of a fucking doof, isn't he? Such a big doof that he studied ventriloquism, as we can see him talking for 13 seconds without a single frame of animation for his mouth. Aside from that, it's more of a sweet exchange between him and us, and a rather uneventful one at that. Though I'll take that over someone less than a human being, or someone who would commit sexual assault. Timid, relatively uneventful, and not the most attractive guy, but he's nice enough, of legal age, and didn't give me any creepy vibes at all, so he's at the top, I guess. High schooler again, fuck off. I was starting to get worried we wouldn't see someone worryingly young after the college guy in the previous episode, but my worries have been immediately alleviated. Thank you, show. I love you so much. I hate this guy. I hate him. I hate him so much. His design bothers me to no end. A multiple layered school uniform, a scarf, a necktie tied around his wrist, painted nails, an eye patch, fancy hair that somehow stays together in place, and just all of it coming together just feels like an insult to my eye holes. He's so edgy. He wears an eye patch because he has a sty on his eyelid, but he says he feels something within himself and is afraid something might awaken. Basically, he was that kid at school that thought he was so special and had powers deep within themselves, and that if the bullies got them enough, that those powers would awaken, and then the bullies would be really scared of them. And that's just depressing, really. Or maybe I'm just projecting with this. He's fake deep, edgy, demeaning, has an awful sense of aesthetics, and is on medication. So really, he's just the personification of Tumblr.com. And that makes him trash, and above only the sexual harasser. If you don't know, then we are halfway through the show. And so far, we have had a colorful assortment of guys with a range of ages. The only one of which that doesn't have a canon age so far, being the first boy, which only continues my theory of him being an interstellar being from another dimension. But I digress. Either way, we're on episode 7, so I wonder what gifts of lore and excitement will be in store for us this episode. Are you, wait a minute. No. A super energetic, hot 5-year-old. No! You know, in anime where characters look really young but are like hundreds or thousands of years old or something, so that there's an excuse for them to be legal lolly? But no, this guy is just straight up 5. There's no way getting around this pedophilic shit. Try again tomorrow, please. Or try again in another 13 years at least. So getting into the actual episode, it's just him whining about not wanting to go to sleep because he's 5. And then he starts talking about some Power Ranger show because he's 5. Then he stammers off about random bullshit you don't care about because he's 5. Though I must admit, for a 5-year-old, he is much more suave than me. Now you all may be asking yourself, Dujin, where will you be putting this guy on your hierarchy? But before I can get into that, it's time to learn something today. Having its origins in ancient India, for thousands of years, Hindus had lived by a hierarchy which divided its people into 4, but technically 5 different castes. This caste system is understood to come from the Hindu god Brahma, who is the creator of the universe. The different castes of people would be born from Brahma's different body parts. That is to say, who your parents were and what part of the caste system they were a part of would determine your future role and how your life would then play out. Every aspect of your life was determined by something completely out of someone's control. At the top, born from Brahma's head, would be the Brahmins, who would go to have roles like teachers and intellectuals. These people would be the most respected of the castes. From Brahma's arms would come the Kshatriyas, who would be the warriors and rulers. Next from the god's thighs would be the Vaisyas, the traders. Then comes the Kshatras, who would be born from Brahma's feet. These people would do any sort of menial jobs. Although there remains a last caste of people known as Dalits, or as they used to be known as, the Untouchables. These would be people considered too low and beneath everyone else that they're not even considered to be really a part of the hierarchy. A form of discrimination so grotesque that people would even bathe themselves if someone from the Untouchables caste would have so little as their shadow phased by theirs. Though the system is not as strongly in place as it has been, and attempts have been made to try to legally leveling the playing field for all people in different castes, the system still remains to have a strong impact on modern Hindu society today, and dehumanization due to these ancient ways still persists. So what I'm trying to say is that this guy formed his own section of my hierarchy, now known as the "Please don't touch him for the love of innocence." We got a college sports guy here who looks like if Hinata from Haiku grew up and decided, hey, you know what, maybe pussy's pretty good after all. His defining character traits are, he likes his smartphone, and he likes going to mixers. I feel myself dripping from the groin already. He just about nearly begs us to go to a mixer with him after saying how much he likes going to mixers, but it's sad that schoolwork is getting in the way of him going to mixers. But what is a mixer? Oh, it has to do with formal and professional business stuff. That's very kind of you, good sir, but I must decline for that we have already junketed this day. Thank you, though. The episode ends with him giving us a predatory look, surprise, saying, hey, you know, we don't know each other, but I've been noticing you around a lot. Why don't we go over by this tree and you can fall asleep while I'm just next to you? Oh no, why does this always happen? He's fine, I guess, you know. Our 9th guy here is a librarian with an awful fashion sense. Pink striped shirt with a draft spotted tie. Disgusting. In no scenario would a tie of this sort be appropriate or a good look. Well, unless you're some sort of new age clown that owns a business on the side. In which case, you do you. So he wakes up from you taking a nap in the library and says that you shouldn't be napping in a place like this. He recommends you a book on kittens, and then he says that you can go back to taking a nap, even though you just said that you can't take a nap. Whatever. And that's the end of the episode. It's at this point that I really must tell you how hard it is to write things for something that has 3 minutes of content and nothing happens. He wasn't anything special or even particularly interesting in the slightest. He came off as flat and boring, and nothing happened. But hey, at least he was inoffensive and not 15, so that makes him pretty high up on the list. I'm noticing it's largely the most boring guys landing up on the list because whenever something does happen, it's always on the creepy side of things. Or maybe that's just my imagination. Our 10th episode here starts off with creepy twins, whom we are completely alone with in a dark room in the middle of the night. They threaten us not to be loud, and I'm getting the vibe that these guys are two honest-to-God vampires, which makes me, again, a notch uncomfortable. They start talking about Japanese pussy willows. What are Japanese pussy willows? Or the trees. What in the pissing fuck are you Googling? These guys like posing very sensually while having permanent bedroom eyes that give off that they're scheming something. Not a fan, gotta say. Not liking it, no. No, not particularly. No, I really don't, actually. I just want some personal space. You're ruining my vibe here, man. Not liking it. I have my phone on me, actually. Could maybe call a friend to pick me up. Maybe the cops. Where am I? Where are we? Where are we that we're in this position that there are two twins making advances on us in the middle of the night? By the way they speak, it sounds like I'm part of some sort of organization, and there's also some master by which we live under, and there's a sort of hierarchy here in which we are very low in, and they're above us? Is this a cult? Is this called vampires? Am I being held captive here? After all, we apparently belong to whomever this master is. No, I don't really want to find the... That's a fucking leaf, you troglodyte. I know where it is. I know where it went. I just ain't putting my hand in there. No. 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 That's not how this works. Bottom of the list, absolute bottom. I'm gonna go take a shower. For our second to last guy, we are at a food stall being served by a DILF. And that's it. That's the episode. I really must again tell you how hard it is to write for something that has 3 minutes of content where nothing happens. He knows how to cook. That's an obvious plus. And he's endearing in his own way, and I am stretching to say nice things about this guy. He's fine. He was fine. The bar is so low here for these guys, it's fine. Let's just get to the last guy, please. No, wait, why you again? No. There's supposed to be a new guy every episode. I didn't want to see you again. Is this really the guy? The guy that they wanted on the cover of the show? The one they wanted to give the most time to? What I then assumed to be the poster boy of this entire show. This thing is really meant to be the big appeal of the entire show. However, I do really have to give credit where credit is due for this episode. It always bothers me in these first-person shows whenever the characters try to interact with the viewer by asking them a question, because the answer the character responds to is almost never something you would think of to even say. Let's just make something up for an example. It would be like, "Does Oni-chan like my outfit?" And then there would be an awkwardly long pause. "You're right! It's just like the one Mom bought me 7 years ago when the cherry blossoms were blossoming as they tend to do. It reminded me of you." Like, it doesn't feel as though the character's talking to me. It just feels like the character is just alone in a room staring at a wall and talking to themselves like a crazed lunatic. However, in this episode, our character here asks us, "What do you love more, me or going out? What do you love more, Me or sweet things? What do you love more? Me or your bed? And the character reacts to us saying every answer that isn't us saying that we like him, which is precisely what I was wanting to say to him. Seeing the character react accordingly in a depressed manner pleased me so. Nothing's changed with him. His life is the exact same mess as we left him. He's just looking at cats out the window, doing nothing with himself as he sits on the bed all day, and the only interaction he gets is from us, the cat, and the TV. I'm so glad that this is the guy that got a second episode so that we could have a chance to see closer into his deeply fascinating life. Still can't get over the fact that he just looks like male Corn from Fire Emblem. But worse. And then the series ends with him turning into some sort of sheep. And then it's over. Well, that was pretty anticlimactic since the last episode was just the same guy again. Congratulations, guy from episode 5. You were boring, but at least nice and inoffensive enough to make it to the top of our hierarchy. You get a gold medal, you get a star, you get a nice trophy. You did good. Congratulations. Overall, this show sucks. I doubt I needed to tell you that much. It feels so unnatural to hear absolutely nothing except the guy's voice. The guys are mostly either grotesque in some form or another, or just really boring. They're not even attractive. There's nothing here. There's no reason for anyone desperate for the attention of hot boys or otherwise to watch this show. So if there's anything we've learned today, it's that even with media explicitly catered towards women, women can't win.